So I was actually first introduced to Josephine Baker through a postcard. She was wearing these really fancy pearls and she had her famous banana skirt on. And I did not quite know what to make of her. Because I hadn't been properly introduced to her or her career, I really thought of her within the context of the American jazz age of the 1920s and 30s, and I pictured her as a flapper girl of sorts. I imagined her as an example of the increased liberation that women of this era experienced, further emboldened by their increasing political rights. What I had not yet learned was that this very outfit, accompanied by its reveal in Baker's performance of La Revue Negra, really catapulted her into worldwide acclaim and gave way to her career as one of the most successful and popular Black female performers on a worldwide scale. Josephine Baker's performances contributed to a complete transformation of the discourses surrounding Black performers, but in particular Black female performers, both in America and France, where Josephine Baker achieved her groundbreaking success. Her career as a performer and an entertainer was really important for the plight of Black women who, even today, exist in the Black community, but often are not given the freedom or liberation or even the voices or opportunities that many other people experience. Baker was really able to defy the shroud of otherness that plagued Black women, and she showed how to escape these oppressive roles that were possessed by many of the people and the viewers in her primarily white audiences.
And when we're discussing her primarily white audiences, Josephine Baker took a very interesting approach to how she shed light on the harmful stereotypes placed upon Black women in her era. She didn't outright call these stereotypes out, but she instead utilized them to her advantage. She played into the stereotypes that Black women were exotic sexual beings meant for exhibition, and she used those to garner enough fame in order to plant her seeds of artistic innovation. She used that fame that she garnered from letting herself be sexualized and let herself have quirky facial expressions, dance moves that we'd never seen before, suggestive gyrations, and they shocked her primarily white audiences, certainly to an extent that they had never seen before. And the most remarkable thing about that is that it rejected the primacy of things like European ballet, which, quite honestly, it only deemed beauty as the kind of dance and quote-unquote grace that we see in European ballet theaters and opera houses. So when we look at Josephine Baker's career and her legacy, it prompts us to take a step back and look at our own modern era and our own Black female performers today. So it prompts us to look at questions like, why do we feel shocked when a Black female performer puts out a piece of art, a piece of music, a dance performance that explores or celebrates her sexuality, the way that Josephine Baker did in her era? Is it because of the biases that we hold towards Black women and when we expect them to take an inferior position or a supporting role in the lives of others? So the life of Josephine Baker as we know it in the modern era, and we can look at contemporary media, especially things that our generation, among the younger adults, Generation Z, as you would have it, was definitely looking at performers marked by controversy, and they can definitely look to Josephine Baker as a blueprint for that.
It's really funny that you mention the way that people in her primarily white audiences viewed her and the way that she really transcended that. And I think that Black women within the context of their community weren't really given the hand up, in a sense, to be the main character or to be the central person. In literature, in art, we were really delegated to sort of a sidelined role. And I think that during Josephine Baker's lifetime and beyond, when Black women weren't completely ignored, we were made to feel invisible and inferior. And there were so many stereotypes and common tropes that really tore down her image in the media. And we were bombarded with generalizations and prejudice. You know, the Black woman was portrayed as a static or dim-witted character, and her only saving grace or redeeming quality was a subservient nature towards the white subject, towards the white main character. But what was really, truly unique about Josephine Baker was the way that she used her many performances to question each stereotype, to question each trope. Baker moved through role after role. She portrayed a laundress turned dancer. She portrayed a shepherdess turned princess. As she's moving throughout these roles, she's really proving that Black women are multidimensional. She challenged the notion that Black women exist only to serve these subservient roles. She showed that us as Black women, we are a group of different talents, a group of different strengths, a group of different interests. And that's what Josephine Baker's lifetime and career really demonstrated. Off the stage, Josephine Baker championed human rights as a spy for the French resistance during the Second World War. She has many efforts to combat otherness and to combat the things that plague marginalized groups. And her dedication to her country, France, was really shown throughout her life's work. And as I learned more about Josephine Baker's lifetime and her career, I began to observe it within the context of things that plague our generation. And one of those phenomenons that plague our generation is this issue of colorism. Now, colorism is a discrimination or a prejudice against people of darker skin tones. And this is something that I've always had a particular interest in because I am a person with darker skin. And something I often wonder is, would Josephine Baker have been equally as successful if she had been a darker skinned woman? Would she have been portrayed as liberated or free or joyful or energetic if she had been a darker-skinned individual?
These questions that you're mentioning about colorism, especially in the life of Josephine Baker and how that might have affected her career, really do play into the modern day, especially if we're looking at modern media. When we take a look at Hollywood, we need to ask ourselves, when we see a Black woman on stage or in a movie or on a television show, what kind of Black women are we seeing, if any at all? When we find the next Black heroine or Black ingenue, we need to take a step back and evaluate whether the biases that we hold about Black women are still being upheld within those roles. Whether it's within a lighter-skinned character or a darker-skinned character being held to the stereotypes that you mentioned before. So we should still hold that question of whether darker-skinned Black women, especially in Hollywood right now, are being held to the same stereotypes of subservience or only being put into supporting roles to support lighter-skinned characters or white characters, male, female, or otherwise.
I really believe that for the context of our generation, Josephine Baker's career as a performer and entertainer really represents the origin of many facets of modern-day entertainment, like you mentioned. I think that within her career, we really see the power of sensationalism and truly the birth of the Black female performer who is confident, who is joyful, who is liberated, who is center stage and the main character. And this is a transformation of the Black female character, the Black female performer. And I think that there is a very vital message that is highlighted through her career. And that message is this: Black women do make suitable lead characters. And when we are marginalized, when we are pushed to the sidelines, we really will find a way to prevail and find a way to overcome all limitations.
So some of these questions and messages about main character will be explored in the documentary Josephine Baker, The Story of an Awakening.